His belly was full, too full, stuffed with greasy chips, syrupy sodas, and the heavy weight of too much. But real hunger gnawed at him, something deeper than an empty stomach, a hunger for color, for movement, for life. Panther chameleons were meant to glow, their skin shifting like a living sunrise, coral pinks, electric blues, dazzling greens. But not Champ. He was gray, not sick, not broken, just faded, as if all the vibrancy had been drained from him. His family's world revolved around drive-thrus and microwave dinners, their plates piled high with deep-fried sameness. No crisp mangoes, no leafy greens, no bursts of citrus or spice. Just salt, fat, sugar, repeat. His body felt it, sluggish, heavy. His limbs, made for climbing, for reaching, for grasping the world, now rested limp on couch cushions. Exercise was something he watched on screens, majestic animals leaping through wild landscapes while he barely moved at all. This wasn't living. Somewhere inside him a spark still flickered, a tiny ember buried beneath layers of grease and screen glow. A whisper of something more, a question. Was there still hope for Champ? Champ's parents, tireless heroes in their greasy diner, battled mountains of burgers and rivers of fries. The air hung heavy with the aroma of blazing grease. Burgers sizzled, fries popped, and the scent of overly sweet milkshakes lingered. There was no room for fresh fruit or colorful vegetables. In their crowded city, where tall buildings touched the sky and flashing neon signs fought for attention, healthy food was rare, hidden away like a secret no one wanted to share. At home, Champ's parents fed him the same food they served at the diner. His name came from a legendary champion, but he didn't feel strong. He felt slow, tired, and weighed down. He dreamed of being fast and full of energy, but instead, he was just stuck. At school, things weren't much better. Hot dogs, pizza, chicken nuggets, and the traditional hamburger and fries ruled the cafeteria, rarely a sight of juicy apples or crunchy carrots. The hamburger bun was whiter than a bleached bone, so soft, so perfect, so wrong. That bun isn't just flour and water. It's a science experiment, a chemical cocktail built to last. Think about it. Bread should go stale in a week or so. But this? It stays soft for months, untouched by time. How? Preservatives, a whole army of them. Ingredients that Champ can't pronounce, designed not for nourishment, but for survival on a grocery store shelf. This isn't food. It's a product, engineered to trick his taste buds while his body pays the price. These chemicals, while preventing the growth of mold and bacteria, may also be wreaking havoc on the delicate ecosystem of Champ's gut microbiome. Here at school, fresh produce is a luxury, replaced by the numbing sameness of processed, calorie-laden options. Each bite feels like a lead weight in his stomach, mirroring the heaviness in his heart. He knows this cheap fuel can't be fueling his potential. Champ, usually the king of catching the yellow school bus, was stranded. The bus coughed its last puff of diesel fumes. 3 miles stretched between him and home, but there was no rescue coming. His parents were still lost in the endless rhythm of the greasy diner, flipping burgers and pouring shakes. But was this a setback? Or an opportunity? With a grin creeping onto his face and a spark in his chest, Champ took his first step. Every great adventure begins with the unexpected, doesn't it? Maybe, just maybe, the road ahead held something far greater than a ride on a rusty school bus. As Champ embarked on his inaugural journey home from school, a sugary siren call beckoned. A donut shop adorned with a mesmerizing display of Technicolor temptations. Drawn by an almost primal dinosaurian urge, he surrendered to a deep-fried masterpiece. The sprinkles and radiant frosting created a vivid contrast against the golden dough, evoking whispers from his ancient ancestors who once reveled in the vibrant hues of wild fruit, vegetables, and berries bursting with life. Fueled by both the donut's sweetness and his own defiance, Champ forged ahead. Every ache in his legs became a badge of honor, each step reclaiming a connection to a primal rhythm long forgotten. About a mile from home, Champ stumbled upon something magical, a burst of color and life tucked between the tired concrete and the smoky breath of the city. He stopped in his tracks, drawn in like a bee to a blossom. Before him stretched a hidden oasis, a community garden alive with wonder. Sunflowers stretched toward the sky, their golden faces beaming like tiny suns. Cherry tomatoes, round and glossy, peeked from twisting emerald vines like scattered rubies. Stalks of garlic stood tall and proud, their green shoots swaying in the breeze, while plump sweet peas dangled like tiny treasures, waiting to be picked. Champ leaned over the fence, mesmerized. The air hummed with the gentle buzz of pollinators and bees, butterflies danced on painted wings, and laughter spilled from a group of gardeners tending to their leafy kingdom. This place wasn't just a garden. It was a world of possibility. As he continued his walk home, his steps felt lighter, his mind buzzing with new thoughts. This wasn't just a detour. It was a discovery. The garden had whispered a secret to him. Food could be more than something wrapped in plastic. It could be grown with love, bursting with color, flavor, and life. And maybe, just maybe, his own story was about to change. That evening, Champ sat at the dinner table, the overhead light casting a sticky yellow glow on the familiar spread before him. A lake of brown gravy pooling around deep-fried chicken, its battered skin clinging in defeat. The air was thick with oil and exhaustion. His parents, worn thin by endless hours at work, collapsed into their chairs. Their faces, lined with fatigue, barely turned toward him. Still, Champ tried. "I walked home today, Mom. And guess what I saw? A huge garden, full of bright vegetables, even sunflowers taller than me." His voice carried something fragile. Hope, maybe. A flicker of something better. His mother sighed, her eyelids heavy. "That's nice, honey. Long day, though. Let's just eat." Her words landed with the dull thud of a closing door. Her hand drifted downward, slow and tired, her fingers sinking absent-mindedly into the warm gravy. She didn't even flinch. Champ swallowed, the lump in his throat bigger than the tomatoes he had seen. And tomorrow, he told himself. Tomorrow, he would walk home again. Champ's parents loved him, deeply, fiercely, but love couldn't lighten the weight they carried. Their struggle swallowed everything, their health, their joy, the quiet dreams they once had. It swallowed Champ, too, in ways too subtle for words. The greasy diner drained them, leaving little more than exhaustion and a bag of leftover fries. Lying in bed, his stomach full but his heart aching, Champ closed his eyes. The city's neon glare bled through his window, battling the moon for space. The smell of fried food clung to his skin, to his sheets, to his life. But his mind wandered elsewhere, to the community garden. Not just the colors, dazzling greens, reds, and yellows, but the life there. The hum of bees, the crisp snap of fresh vegetables, laughter drifting between the towering sunflowers. It was everything his world was not. As sleep took him, a vision bloomed. He stood in a restaurant, not his mom and dad's diner, but a new restaurant. His parents beside him, aprons clean, faces bright. The air smelled of herbs and warm bread, not grease. The people who walked in left nourished, not just fed. The sun warmed his skin as he bit into a ripe apple, its juice running down his chin. Champ curled into his pillow. He didn't know how, not yet, but one day he would build that place, and his parents would never have to serve someone unhealthy food again. The afternoon sun painted the sidewalk a warm honey hue as Champ walked the same route home for the second day. Today, his steps danced towards the colorful community garden. Yesterday's glimpse of the garden tugged at him like a friendly whisper. He was drawn by the cheerful chatter and the grounding aroma of fresh earth. When he arrived at the garden, a flurry of activity met his eyes. Vibrant veggies stretched towards the sun. Kids giggled as they chased butterflies, and elders shared stories in reflection of cosmos flowers. In the center stood Bloom, a young woman with sunshine in her smile and soil-streaked clothes, a living picture of hard work and a harvest well-earned. Champ climbed to the top of her shovel's handle. "Hello, my name is Bloom." "What is your name?" Bloom whispered. "My name is Champ," Champ whispered back. "Welcome, Champ. There's always room for another helping hand and curious minds here," Bloom greeted warmly, her smile inviting Champ to join in the garden's bustling activities. Bloom, sensing Champ's curiosity, invited him to explore the garden. She spoke of rainbow foods, each color bursting with vitamins, nutrients, and minerals. Bloom presented Champ with a bountiful box, brimming with the freshest produce. A gesture of nourishment, a token of care, meant to sustain and enrich his family. Champ reached for a ripe tomato, its beautiful red-crimson skin a stark contrast to his own gray scales. As he took a bite, a burst of flavor exploded on his tongue, unlike anything he'd ever tasted. Bloom then offered him a suggestion. "You should make a tasty garden salad for your family this evening. It will be a kaleidoscope of kale greens, cherry tomatoes, raspberries, and blueberries, each bite a revelation." He couldn't resist sharing this newfound joy. With a grateful grin, Champ headed home, determined to introduce his taste buds-trapped parents to a vibrant, healthy rebellion. Champ could hardly contain his excitement. Finally, a chance to show his parents the magic of real food. Meanwhile, the picnic air swirled with the irresistible aroma of sizzling chicken drenched in thick, smoky barbecue sauce. But was it real? Unlikely. That sweet, tangy kick was probably courtesy of high-fructose corn syrup, lab-made smoke, and a rainbow of artificial dyes, some with side effects you'd rather not Google. The hickory flavor? Just a carefully engineered chemical mirage designed by lab-coated sorcerers who specialize in turning mystery ingredients into profit. Resting on the picnic table was a bowl of fresh, vibrant greens. As Champ carefully chopped kale into bite-sized pieces, his dad squinted. "What's this?" "Kale, from the community garden. I made a fresh kale salad with zucchini, tomatoes, sweet apples, and blueberries for us to try. My friend Bloom gave all of this real food to our family as a gift." Dad speared a chunk of kale with the skepticism of a man expecting it to bite back. He chewed thoughtfully. "Huh. Not bad, kiddo. Needs some ranch dressing, though." Later that evening, something extraordinary happened. As Champ looked at his reflection in the mirror, he gasped. Streaks of color, faint at first, began to appear on his skin. Green peeked through his gray, mirroring the vibrant salad, and a hint of red mimicked the tangy tomatoes. They weren't just colors, they were whispers of a forgotten potential, a glimpse of the vibrant life that awaited him. Could it be? Could food truly be magic? Maybe, just maybe, the community garden. The little patch of paradise held the seeds of something special, something that could nourish not just his body, but his dreams, too. His fingers traced the shifting hues on his arms, his chest rising with something unfamiliar. Belief. Not just in the garden, not just in the power of food, but in himself. Intrigued, Champ knew he needed to step farther into the garden, with hopes that the grayness of his usual world would be replaced by vibrant colors and a little dirt on his skin. His goal was not merely to observe, but to immerse himself completely. The next day, Champ made a decision. No more cafeteria grease bombs. He packed his own lunch with care, 2 crisp apples, the leftover salad from yesterday's family picnic, a handful of vibrant carrots, juicy grapes, and a tall glass of crisp, clean water. It wasn't just a meal, it was a rebellion. Enter Diego the raccoon, the self-proclaimed cafeteria junk food king. When he spotted Champ unwrapping a salmon burger instead of a greasy hamburger, Diego nearly choked on his sugar cookie. "What? You on some kind of health kick now? He snorted, crumbs flying. He waved a half-crushed bag of spicy fries like a trophy. This right here? Potato cuisine, my friend. He boasted about downing 2 sodas before the lunch bell, his fingers dusted with neon orange residue. Champ just grinned, taking a slow, exaggerated bite of his salmon burger. Tastes like victory, friend. Diego scoffed, but for the first time there was something behind his usual bravado. Maybe curiosity, maybe envy. Champ didn't gloat. He just ate. And as he crunched into a carrot, loud and proud, he couldn't help but wonder, what if Diego didn't know what real food even tasted like? Friday mornings were show and tell day for Champ's class. With the help of his teacher, he came up with a plan. A little nervous, though propped up by greasy food samples from his mom and dad's diner, he began to speak about what he learned about the standard American diet. SAD, he shouted. This is an acronym for Standard American Diet. Buckle your taste buds and fire up your neurons, for we're diving into the Standard American Diet, a culinary adventure with surprising twists and, well, not so healthy turns. The other kids in the class, who were laughing and chuckling at first, began to quiet down. Everyone was focused on Champ. He spoke with elegance and pride. Don't be fooled by the sweet charm of unhealthy foods. They leave you crashing, craving more, and fueling chronic diseases like diabetes and heart disease. Guys, we feel invincible right now, like superheroes who can eat anything and still run full speed. But science says, if we keep filling up on junk, our bodies will pay the price sooner than we think. Every bite we take is building the future us, our energy, our strength, even our brains. You want to be unstoppable? Our superpowers won't last forever if we don't fuel them right. Champ continued. SAD also features generous portions of saturated and trans fats, the villains known to clog arteries and put your heart rhythm out of tune. Processed meats like sausages and bacon are linked to an increased risk of certain cancers. But fear not. This culinary drama doesn't have to end in tragedy. Swap the processed for whole foods, add a chorus of fruits and vegetables, and ditch the unhealthy fats for heart-healthy options. Just then, the school's intercom crackled and came to life. The intercom sputtered, Principal Wilson's voice cutting through Champ's momentum like a cold wind. Champ Walker, please report to my office immediately. Deflation filled the room, mirroring the knot forming in Champ's stomach. Had he messed up? Did one of the school cooks get mad at him for talking about the unhealthy school lunches? The classroom fell silent. He left the classroom and walked down the hallway. The heavy oak door creaked open, revealing a figure shrouded in shadow. Champ stepped into the unknown, his heart pounding in his chest. The principal's gaze held none of his usual sternness. Instead, there was a tremor in his voice, a sympathy so raw it made Champ's throat go tight. Champ, sit down. It's your mom and dad. The diner. The principal said in a sad voice. Champ's stomach lurched at the principal's choked words. Grease fire. Your mom and dad's diner is on fire. It is burning. The words didn't make sense. Fire? Diner? Burning? The place where his parents worked until their hands were raw and their smiles were tired, where the smell of frying oil was always in the air, where they had poured everything they had left into making sure there was always something hot and cheap for anyone who needed it. The world tilted. The blood rushed out of Champ's head, leaving him lightheaded and cold. He couldn't breathe. Champ, I'm going to drive you to the fire scene, the principal said gently, his voice soft and sorrowful. Your mom and dad are waiting for you. As they walked out of the office together, Champ couldn't help but wonder, was there still a chance for his parents? Or was this the end of something too fragile, too broken to be fixed? The last burger on the griddle sizzled, a sad final note lost in the chaos of hissing fire hoses and rushing water. The greasy diner that had run on nothing but cholesterol, sugar, and caffeine was now a glowing, fiery monument, flames dancing in an orange frenzy while the griddle's last sizzle faded into smoke. Champ stood there, watching the diner that had been his parents' whole life turn to ash. The loss hit him hard, heavy like the air thick with smoke. But beneath the weight of it, something stirred. Possibility. He glanced at his parents. Their tired eyes met his, and a silent understanding passed between them. This wasn't the end. No, the fire might have taken their diner, but it hadn't taken their spirit. The road ahead was unknown, filled with questions and heartache. Was the road ahead also filled with the potential for something better? Something even brighter? Sheltered inside the cab of the fire engine, Champ watched the flames devour the greasy diner, the heart of his childhood. The fire consumed everything, the laughter, the milkshakes, the sticky floors. It's hard to let go of the familiar, especially when it's all you've known. But sometimes, life forces you to let go of the unhealthy, the bad. Disasters make room for new things, things that nourish you in ways you never expected. In the midst of loss, there's always the potential for something better. Champ felt it, like a spark ready to catch fire. Maybe the road ahead was uncertain, but hope had already begun to grow. "This isn't the end, is it?" Champ whispered. His dad, spatula still in hand like a warrior's sword, spoke quietly. "The fire might have taken our greasy haven, but it can't extinguish our spirit." Champ stood there, feeling numb, but then, surprisingly steady, he said, "Mom, Dad, I'm hungry. How about we try that new place across town, the one with the fancy soup and salads?" His dad raised an eyebrow. "Rabbit food? On a night like this?" But Champ, sensing something shift in the air, pressed on. "Come on, Dad. Maybe it's just what we need. Something new?" When they arrived at the restaurant, they were greeted by the warm smile of the owner, a woman with eyes that sparkled like the herbs in her front display. The menu, a handwritten poem on a chalkboard, spoke of fresh vegetables and fruit, faraway lands and exotic spices. Champ, ever the adventurer, ordered a dish called Mango Tango Bizango, a vibrant blend of fresh vegetables, sweet mango, and fiery chili flakes. Dad, after much deliberation, opted for a Mediterranean musketeer, a hearty green lentil and vegetable stew danced in a symphony of herbs. Mom, drawn to the unknown, chose the moonlit star garden, a salad adorned with edible flowers and a creamy avocado dressing. The first bite was a revelation. Champ's tango was a fiesta on his tongue, the sweetness of the mango dancing with the heat of the chili, the vegetables singing a song of the sea. Dad's stew, earthy and comforting, whispered stories of sun-drenched fields and ancient recipes. Mom's salad, a canvas of textures and flavors, was a poem to the moon, stars, and the night, its coolness a soothing balm to their grief. Champ's dad, a burger-flipping legend, gave Champ and Mom a look of pure, wide-eyed amazement, like he'd cracked life's biggest secret. As they cruised home, the wheels hummed a tune of victory, the kind that makes you yell, "We've got this!" The food, unreal. Dad grinned. A symphony on a plate. Was that magic? Mom laughed, still savoring the flavors. Magic? More like soul food. Champ smirked. Yes, real food's got secrets, whispered by the earth itself. And just like that, with the memory of the burnt, greasy diner tucked away like a crispy piece of burnt toast, a tiny green seed of an idea sprouted in their hearts. Let's build something new, a restaurant that sings from the kitchen, filled with food that nourishes both body and soul, they declared, voices crackling with energy. That evening, Diego's world shattered. His mom rushed to the hospital, maybe a heart attack. The doctors didn't sugarcoat it. Years of processed food, salt, fat, and too much high fructose corn syrup had caught up to her. Neglect, one bite at a time. Diego sat frozen, his little raccoon heart pounding. Was he next on the list? He'd learned all his culinary skills from his mom. Fast food, sugary drinks, and processed snacks. She never intended to harm him, But maybe, just maybe, she'd missed the mark. It was like he might as well be dining out of a trash can. Maybe this wasn't his path. The fatigue, the headaches, his dad, just 30, gasping after climbing a tree. He couldn't ignore it anymore. Change had to come. Maybe it wasn't too late for him to change his ways. And then there was Champ, who ate carrots instead of chips, who didn't drown himself in soda. For the first time, that didn't seem ridiculous. It seemed smart. In that cold hospital room, something inside him shifted. He didn't know where to start, but he knew this much. The past didn't define him. There was still time to change. For Champ, fresh food wasn't just fuel. It was the foundation, the blueprint, the grand design of his dream cafe. His sketchbook overflowed with architectural masterpieces, vaulted ceilings, sun-drenched windows spilling light onto rustic wooden tables, and walls strong enough to support an entire vertical herb garden. Every page smelled like fresh mint, or maybe that was just the actual mint leaves he used as a bookmark. If you listened closely, you could almost hear the happy hum of diners and the sizzle of garlic hitting hot olive oil. Oh yeah, he had it all planned out. But there was one tiny problem. None of them actually knew how to cook healthy food. Determined to change that, Champ and his family embarked on a culinary adventure, training with the best chefs in the country. They soaked up wisdom like a thick slice of sourdough bread, dunked in olive oil, absorbing it all. Their kitchen smoke alarms became applause for ambition. Maybe, just maybe, they could turn their dream cafe into a delicious reality. On a golden summer afternoon, Champ strolled toward the community garden. Behind him, a voice called out, hesitant but clear. "Hey, Champ, mind if I tag along? Maybe show me the ropes on what's good to eat around here?" It was Diego, standing there. Champ turned around. He could have reminded Diego of every time he'd been teased for picking carrots over chips. But he didn't. Instead, he just smiled, chill and friendly. "Sure thing, Diego. Let's get started. Follow me." And just like that, something shifted. Beneath the sun, between rows of tomatoes and curling squash vines, a transformation quietly took root. What started as rivalry softened into something unexpected, an alliance, a friendship, a second chance. As Champ gently swept away the soil from a ripe strawberry, he handed it to Diego with a knowing smile. Diego's eyes widened as he took a bite, the explosion of sweetness and flavor rocking his senses. It was as if his taste buds had been awakened from a deep sleep. As Diego wiped sweet, tangy strawberry juice from his chin, he realized, perhaps, just perhaps, this was only the beginning of something delicious. Champ and his family dove headfirst into the world of healthy cooking, seeking out the best chefs in town like eager students on a mission. Their first teacher was Mr. Vagino, the ever-smiling chef whose laugh could outblend a smoothie full of berries. This man could make a mushroom steak sizzle with more swagger than a ribeye, and his chocolate beet cake? Let's just say it could outbeat any dessert that had ever dared call itself chocolate. He was living proof that vegetables weren't punishment. They were a synergy of flavors just waiting to be unleashed. Champ documented it all. His blog, From Grease to Green, The Burnt Diner Diaries, exploded into an internet sensation. Folks couldn't get enough of their culinary adventures, like when Mom finally mastered a tofu stir-fry, a perfect balance of crispy tofu and caramelized onions. A little sweet, a little spicy, and packed with fresh ginger and garlic, it was the kind of meal that made you close your eyes after the first bite. And as they diced, stirred, and occasionally set off the smoke alarm, they discovered good food was about joy, adventure, and sometimes the bravery to try new flavors. Today, the chef taught them about black garlic, which added a deep, molasses-like sweetness, and grains of paradise, a West African spice with a peppery floral heat and hints of citrus. The cafe they had poured their hearts, sweat, and laughter into was nearly ready. The grand opening was just one day away, and the excitement was mouth-watering, like the aroma of freshly baked goods wafting from the oven, making everyone's stomach growl in anticipation. Champ beamed with pride, sandwiched between his mom and dad, who were grinning like they'd just been handed a golden ticket to the world's best chocolate factory. The place looked amazing, warm, cozy, and full of delicious promise. But there was one hurdle left: the city inspection. Would they pass with flying colors, or would their dream cafe get shut down before it even opened? The suspense was making them very nervous. Champ's parents exchanged a nervous glance, their eyes darting towards the clock, which seemed to be ticking away at a glacial pace. And then, just as they thought they couldn't take it anymore, the bell above the cafe door jingled, a cheerful sound that suddenly felt out of place. Champ remained motionless as he sensed a threat. He watched the city's most feared health inspector, Mrs. Grumpington, step through the doorway. Known for her sharp tongue and ability to shut down restaurants on a whim, Mrs. Grumpington was like a storm cloud rolling in, casting a dark shadow over the bright, sunny cafe. Mrs. Grumpington, with her furrowed brow and disapproving glare, surveyed the cafe. Her clipboard, clutched tightly in her hand, seemed to hold the fate of their new business. Champ held his breath. His parents gripped their spatulas like lifelines. She checked the fridge temperatures with a thermometer, squinting like a scientist calibrating a space shuttle, because a few degrees off could mean the difference between fresh and food poisoning. Then, the hand wash station. She tested cutting boards with a forensic swipe, hunting for cross-contamination like a detective solving a crime scene. She inspected, sniffed, and tasted. A sip of the smoothie. Pause. A bite of the garden bowl. Silence. She reached for a loaf of fresh sourdough bread, its golden crust dusted with a whisper of flour. As her fingers pressed into its surface, a brittle crackle broke the silence. She tore it apart, the crust resisting for a moment before giving way with a satisfying rip, revealing the tender heart within, pillowy, honeycombed, and warm. A fragrant steam unfurled like a culinary ghost of ancient kitchens, carrying the tang of slow fermentation, the nutty depth of well-aged grains, and the faintest whisper of wood-fired ovens. The scent was alive, sour, rich, primal, an edible echo of generations past, of hands kneading, fires crackling, and time itself folded into each airy crumb. "This," she finally exclaimed, her voice a whisper that echoed with centuries of bread-making lore, "is real bread. The way it was made thousands of years ago. Real sourdough, fermented, a little tart and sour." Then, like butter melting on warm bread, a smile appeared. "This place," she said, "is extraordinary." She scribbled, "Passed with excellence." "I'll be back," she added, laughing this time. "Next time, just to eat, with my family." And just like that, their dream was real. For Champ and his family, opening their new cafe was a really big deal. Opening day arrived, and was like a monarch butterfly emerging from its chrysalis. On that first day, a single mother, tired eyes holding the hope of a healthy meal for her 3 kids, walked in. After finishing their meal, they had energy, vibrancy, and happiness in their heart. They told their friends, "My kids have officially declared this place their second home. Every meal is a hit. Every bite is a delight. If my kids had their way, we'd be eating here for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, every day. They claim the food is the best ever, and honestly, I agree. Healthy, delicious, and absolutely yummy. Our review: 5 stars, a full moon, and the entire Milky Way." One by one, others followed, drawn by the vibrant colors and the aroma of intoxicating garden delights, and fresh entrees made from real food. Diego smiled with a mischievous twinkle in his eye. He had become the unofficial mascot, delighting patrons with his playful antics and newfound zest for life. Outside, a monarch butterfly fluttered by, its delicate wings painted with the hues of hope and renewal. It hovered near the cafe window, as if to admire the scene within, evidence to transformation and the beauty of new beginnings. The cafe buzzed with the happy hum of clinking silverware, loud conversations, and that one guy who laughed like a malfunctioning car alarm. Families gathered, neighbors chatted, and nobody was running from an unexpected grease fire. Champ smiled as Diego wagged his tail in his direction. They'd come a long way together, from the school lunch table to the heart of something beautiful. As the day melted into evening, filled with belly laughs and food comas, Champ couldn't help but grin. This was it, the happy ending. Or, more accurately, the happy beginning. That Friday after school, Champ and Diego jogged down the path, their laughter light and effortless. Champ skidded to a stop beside the hard-neck garlic, brushing his fingers over a basil leaf. He took a deep breath, the fresh, peppery scent filling his lungs. He muttered, "Pesto." His scales shimmered, emerald, amber, tangerine, a walking rainbow of good decisions. Gone was the sluggish gray chameleon weighed down by sugar and bad choices. He was color now. He was life. Nearby, Diego's family worked in their own garden patch, their fur sleek, their eyes bright. Diego stretched his arms high and plucked a red apple from the tree. "I think I have abs now," he announced. They burst into laughter, the kind that made their stomachs hurt. The garden flourished around them, proof of everything they had planted, both in the ground and in themselves. And as they took off running again, the setting sun cast a golden honey glow over the path ahead, warm and full of promise. Life had never felt this good, or smelled this delicious.
In the land of Burgerville where fries never end, lived Champ, a chameleon, the fast food trend. His parents' cafe was the place where burgers and milkshakes brought a smile to every face.
One day Champ's school bus broke down on the street, so he walked home using his chameleon feet. He stumbled upon a garden in a place so surprising, with kale and garlic and tomatoes. It was truly mesmerizing.
He thought, "What's going on here? I need to see more." As his stomach rumbled, he couldn't ignore.
At school lunch, Diego, the raccoon, was king, the ruler of chips and everything fried in a ring. He scoffed at the veggies, the fruits, and the greens, chomping down on junk food like it was his dream.
But Champ brought his own lunch to school, fresh and neat, full of healthy snacks, a real tasty treat. Diego would tease him, "That's rabbit food," while munching on candy all sticky and chewed.
But then, disaster struck, the cafe went up in flames, and Champ's parents thought, "Oh no, we're to blame." But from the ashes rose a new idea so bright, a healthy cafe where veggies shine with delight.
Oh, healthy food, so fresh and neat. Champ's new cafe is quite the treat. No more grease, no fake food here, just garden goodness, let's give a cheer. So if change feels tough and hard to munch, just ask Champ, he's got the lunch. Start with garden food, fresh and bold. It'll fill your belly and make you feel gold.